This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Leanne Hertzel. Anyway, it's so easy. I messed it up. That is the only paranoid thing that you do doing this is messing people's names up. But anyway,
no worries.
Hi, Leanne. So, Leanne, I'm so excited to introduce Leanne's work to you. And she is an incredible, magical being. She's empathic and a marketing expert and an artist. And she has these amazing processes to help bring out the best in you so that you can share your gifts. So, Leanne, welcome.
Hey, it's so great to be here, Kathy. I just love spending time with you.
Yeah, well, we have fun. We giggle a lot, and we don't have to always talk because we can talk.
So if there's long, awkward silences, it's just us taking
and shaking our heads. No, we won't do that in this interview, but we do that in person. So Leanne, you have superpowers that help people, and they're really uniquely designed to bring out creativity for people. That's how I would explain it from my perspective. Could you talk a little bit about that and about how you discovered all of this?
Absolutely. You know, we all come in with our passions and why we're here in life, and mine is around this notion that we come in with this innate ability that only humans have, right? We're the only race that has this capacity to utilize creativity and imagination, and that's how we create new worlds, and that's how we create inventions and new ways of doing this thing we call life, right? And for me, it centers around human potential, and that creativity and imagination component is something we lose really early on in life. And, you know, it's kind of conditioned out of us. But that's where the magic really lies, in how we can create this new version of ourselves and of society.
Right. Oh, that's so perfect. That's so perfect.
Yeah, I always go back to this research that was done back in the 60s. George Land was a researcher, and NASA hired him to determine, they were starting a new project, and they wanted to determine, out of everybody there, who were those creative geniuses that could create this next greatest thing, right? And so he went through this study of all of these individuals, and he was able to determine each person's creative genius level, right? And that was wonderful. But then he got intrigued, and he started doing this research on his own with children, starting at age 5, 10, 15, going up to adulthood. And this is what he found. He found that children across the board at age 5 have a 95% creative genius.
Wow.
We're born with this. And by the time, so 95%, by age 10, it drops to 30.
Oh, that's so
Age 15 to 12, it goes more than in half in 5 years. And by adulthood, which he considered, I think, like 30, 2%, we're functioning on a creative genius of 2%. So that's what sets me on fire. It doesn't matter if it's marketing or branding or just finding our individual purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
It all stems from being able to utilize our creativity and our imagination. So that's where everything I've done, I realize, comes from.
That's perfect. Well, I think creativity is the way we're going to create the new earth. This new this creative mess we're in right now. Make a mess. This is made a mess. But I think it's the people that can think out of the box and see reality as a piece of clay to mold rather than a structure. And that's what we're really, the statistics you just gave us show that the education system isn't a creative instrument.
Well, you mean just society at large.
Yeah.
It's way more than just the educational system. It's the conditioning that we go through
Yeah.
as a society, and this notion of what is intelligence.
Uh-huh.
What is that balanced from? What is that determined from, right? And I think it was Einstein that said it, that the true sign of intelligence isn't knowledge, but it's imagination,
Exactly. Yes.
right? When you think back in time, and when humanity took leaps, when you think about the Renaissance, they weren't regurgitating what had happened in the past, what we're kind of doing right now, right? Like we're regurgitating, re-implementing laws, like changing everything and just going in a circle, right? And it really requires, Edgar Cayce said, that only creativity grows.
Right.
Only that which is creative grows. And so how can we bring this into our day-to-day life? And I just went through my process of discovering tools that I can use within my work, or with my clients that I work with. But we all have these capacities inside of us, and so mine just kind of circle around getting out of that box and just allowing yourself to be in these higher states of consciousness where there never ever was a box. It's just pure potential.
Oh, that's so perfect. And this excites me a lot, as you know, because so much of this is human potential. I mean, this isn't personal development. This is your soul essence being expressed, that we've because of maybe conditioning or whatever your soul's journey is, you've lost that connection to the potential to co-create at a high level. And what happens is you help people. First of all, you can see you're empathic and you're psychic. You can see you're intuitive. But then you also have put together these tools that help others play with you in the sandbox, because if a lot of people don't know how to teach, or they can always do things for you, but you know how to bring people along the journey with you, right?
Yeah. I don't really think that we're living in a time where we follow a guru and we look for those answers outside of us, right? I know you get that. Like all the answers lie within. And so it's really unlocking and remembering these tools that we all came into, and we all came in as these creative geniuses. And so it's just kind of repositioning ourselves, seeing that, and utilizing it, working with it. It's like Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
We, whether we're aware of it or not, we're all yearning for self actualization, just to achieve our highest potential. And that's why there is so much um you know chaos right now in the world, because people aren't naturally getting there themselves. Why? Because these capacities have been shut down, right? So it's just getting in touch with that. It really just requires some practice going into those higher spaces of ourselves where joy and creativity and wonder and potential lives.
Right.
And then once you got that, like,
Yep.
the sky's the limit.
Well, once you have that, there isn't there's a pull within yourself to stay in that. There isn't a lot of fear, anxiety, pressure. it's this playtime. I mean, it really is. We're that's what when you're in a low vibration, you can feel that. Oops, I'm not in play, right?
That's right. Absolutely. And there's always a little bit of that push and pull, right? Because our ego kind of wants to go, "Oh, stay safe. Stay
Protect.
with what you've been told," right? But once you get more and more of that taste of that freedom and that play that's so important, and that's what really makes us alive. When you hear that song that just makes you come alive, or when you're just sitting there realizing, oh my gosh, I am so in flow, or I'm in that zone. We just really desire on a deep level to get there more and more and spend more and more time there. So I think that lots of people out there are aware they're conscious that they really need it and want it, and they're going for it now.
Yeah.
And there's so many people out there that have different tools, different ways, different methods of getting there. These are just mine. And that's what's really amazing right now where we are, because we've come together as a collective, and everybody that can assist everybody is like in line, ready to go.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right. I love how you brought in the thrust for self actualization, because I think that's an innate part of us that may now be available at a higher level because of the internet, because there's enough of us talking about it, about living from that space and co-creating from that space and feeling the abundance of everything, the other the abundance and the opportunity to be that higher self, and that we are creating our reality. That's the other part. We're not victims of all of this. We help create it all. So that's, especially for people that you're helping with the MetaArt. And I mean, these are, let's talk a little bit about that so I can understand and everybody can understand better.
Sure.
But it is a transformation process, correct?
It really is. And the way these pieces of artwork came into being is a number of years ago, I was working with my clients using some of these tools, helping them step into these higher states of awareness, right? And this desire to bring something, because that can be little out of body, little meditative, little imaginative space. So, wanting to bring it into physical form in this reality, I started channeling paintings, and then those were given to the client to use to meditate with. So, the last couple years have been spent with just channeling specific frequencies, and those are transformational. I didn't realize at the point of time when I started painting them, but the reality is that vision, our sense of vision is one of the strongest of the human senses. And it helps us assimilate our surroundings.
Mhm.
So this reality or those higher, more refined realities. So our vision is connected to our third eye. So we see something through our retina, and it signals our brain and passes directly to the pineal gland. So it's a very natural way in to those higher states of consciousness. And so with these paintings, they are portals, and just passing by it and glimpsing at it, or even better to sit and meditate with it, it bypasses the thinking mind, the ego, and all of that, and brings that frequency that we also experience, of course, through sound. That's another really strong sense, um, directly to our pineal gland through our vision. And so that's what makes these so special. And it doesn't take, a lot of people will tell me, oh, I can't meditate. Just these are so easy. You simply just sit with the painting, you pick a spot on the painting and stay focused on that little spot, and then relax your gaze and look at the painting. And and it's interacting with you. It will become three-dimensional. It will spin. It might go completely white. And to imagine all of these colors going completely white or becoming very patterned, which happens for me a lot of the time, which I find fascinating. And that's all the way that those frequencies are being able to align with your system and settle into your system and affect you in really positive ways. And so that's the basics of it. I call the meditation ocular meditation, obviously, because it's happening through your eyes, but it's the simplest process. And it doesn't even take long to do. You can sit and meditate with, I have some clients tell me, I sit with my painting for like 3 minutes at a time. And I'm just in that frequency, I'm in that zone, and I'm good to go. So it's really, really fascinating.
So you actually create these for people. Do they, and when you work with people one-on-one, do they create one for themselves, or do you always create for them?
Oh, there's so many ways, Kathy, that we do it. It's so fun. So there's a lot of variety. So first, I do channel specific frequencies. So I think you have a sample of peace. No, love. I sent you love.
Do you want me to show?
Yeah. Let's bring up love. And so this painting, that's unity. So I think the one before it is love. Yeah. So this is the frequency of love, and simply just being in that, having that in your environment shifts the frequency of the room. And then to sit and meditate with it, and with that awareness of love, and what love is this pure from source unconditional love. It's not really the love that we think we have for, spouses or children or friends and that type of thing. It's much broader, more cosmic than that. So there's those paintings. And then there's paintings that I commission for individuals that I am channeling and painting their higher self, or what I call the dimension of fully realized. So that person's fully realized self. And I use the word fully realized because it's an entire dimension. The entire earth and everybody on it and everything on it is also fully enlightened in that dimension. So that way a person can meditate with that specific piece specific to them and have that like gateway, that portal right to their higher self. And then I also recently have been inviting people to come and play with me at my studio. We take these, I call them immersive trips, into that space, and then they channel their own personal portal, which is just so amazing to experience and watch and be a part of, to see a person literally step in with and align with their higher self and feel that higher self. And once that connection's made, that can strengthen, and that painting becomes this really important tool. I had a woman come stay with me recently. She was getting ready to write a book, and she just wanted to get in the most creative zone she could get into. And she has told me that she just puts that portal painting that she created, which was amazing to see come through. And she's like, Leanne, the book's writing itself. It's just completely flowing through me. And so it really is her connecting to her. There's no outside forces that are needing to come into play, because she has everything she needs inside of her.
Isn't that cool? Well, so should we show unity too? Should we show them?
Yeah, so the other one I sent you, this is Unity. Now, this is actually 2 canvases. Most of the things I paint on are actually doors. They're doorways. So they can be hung on an actual frame, door frame, or they can just be hung on the wall. But Unity was interesting. This painting, I had about 24 people contribute to it. So I first do what I call MetaInsights, where I communicate with that frequency. And so I shared that that message with each person, and then they sat in a room alone with the painting, and they contributed to this energy coming through them. And the power in this one is really unique because we don't live in unity. We live in duality, but we come from unity. So this piece is a little bit more foreign to us as opposed to love or peace, things that we can really connect into. And so this piece is very much an alchemical tool that can be used by people to create and get us back to and more aligned with unity.
Wow. This would have been a great tool when I was at Arthur Anderson. We were doing mergers and acquisitions where you'd have a company would buy out another company, and you'd bring everyone that was in the accounting department together to try to put together a new system. There's a lot of fear, a lot of disharmony because of fear of the new. And if we would have had something like this to do together, it would have totally changed everything.
Well, I have businesses that not only come together and create these paintings so that they have it, in the conference room or in, and everybody has a reproduction of it at their desk. And more so than that, even, is this practice of going into those higher states together and seeing the potentials from that higher space, that 50,000-foot view. That because what is a company but a collection of souls that have come together in an agreement to do something, right?
Right.
And so to be able to go to that highest point where all those, not people meet, but their souls meet in order to make decisions and in order to see potentials that they don't have to act on, but they can step into those potentials and feel what that feels like, see what the future holds from that perspective, and make their decisions from there. And that, to me, is this next level of making business decisions, right? Because we're not making it simply from our background, our educational background, our belief system background. We're actually making decisions from this highest potential and what the future is.
Right.
So to have that extra component, more and more companies are starting to utilize this practice. Another thing that I've set up in businesses, which is so fun, just to simply create that creative outlet, is to go into a company and create, I call it the inspiration station. And it's a room that's just floor to ceiling canvas that employees can go in, cross the threshold, and usually there's a word that we're focusing on. Maybe it's abundance as an example, and just painting, just letting abundance flow through them and just go crazy. If they want to use their hands, if they want to throw paint, it's whatever that energy. Like, I'm really seeing blue. Okay, grabbing the blue. And companies are using this to give people creative breaks. Like, oh, okay, you're really stressed out today. There's an issue with this program that we use or whatever. Just go paint for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's
People leave kind of going, oh, I just had an epiphany. I can do A, B, and C differently, because you're able to use different parts of your brain and get back into that creative genius that we came in with.
Well, I love that most of the images have a lot of circles that you do, because that really shows the multi-dimensionality, the spiral almost. Do
Yeah.
you find that other people's paintings have a lot of circles too, or is that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think that those are actually the portals, and whenever they intersect or cross over, that's where there becomes that energetic depth. I've had people that own the paintings that have said those circles, you can see they're completely random, have actually lined up in rows. like an organizational thing has happened. I have a lot more and more healers that work one-on-one with, clients, just say, hey, sit down in front of this painting for 5 minutes before I do my work with you. And it aligns them. I'm getting so many reports back on.
Oh,
Spoke with a client yesterday. She does the Eden healing modality, and she said what I I think it's called grid work. That this grid work that can take hours for a person that's finally ready for that level of work. She said, Leanne, we both sit, we meditate with, it's actually this painting here, which is the doorway to fully realized
oh,
dimension, right? And that's just a reproduction. But she said, takes 15 minutes, 11 minutes, like something that takes hours usually, because she said, I know that we're both working from the same dimensional space now.
oh, wow.
Just, it's amazing. I've had people ask for the artwork in the form of fabric so they can lay it on their healing tables, to have the person lay on the artwork. That's what's fascinating to me, is the way that different people are utilizing these pieces, these portals. We can call them paintings, but they're portals.
Well, I love the idea that art and sound and light and several other dance are all do not, unless it's too loud or too bright, do not enlist the fear of the ego. So if art can be a soothing way to get a glimpse of the other part of you, it's really remarkable. And it sounds like these people are highly sensitive, and they get it. They get it. You're not having to sell it.
Exactly. I hear more and more people say, like, they don't preempt it with anything, with the people they're working with. They're just like, hey, hang out with this painting for 10 minutes, right? And these stories, the one woman called me and she said, well, things were coming through the painting at me, specific things. Like she said I had a puppy that she purchased, and there was something wrong with his heart, and the dog died, but it was right after she had it fixed, and so she was feeling responsible for the death of this dog. She's like, literally, the dog came through the painting, and of no, obviously, like, words or anything, but this sense of, it resolved in me. I didn't hold that responsibility or guilt anymore. It was this, like, this healing that happened to her. And in this 10-minute period, she had like 7 of those things happen, where these different things came through. An angel came through. And everything that it was for her was bringing her peace.
Oh,
And I love what you just said, though, about how it kind of like bypasses the ego, because, hey, it's just a painting, or it's just music. And so, love the painting that you showed first there. That one, I enlisted a musician, right? A multidimensional musician. And we had this amazing interaction where I sent him not all the paints, because I intuit, what paints to use, but I sent him a good amount of paints that I knew I would use. And he put them on a resonance table, vibrating at the Hertz frequency of love for, I think it was something like 5 weeks. And then when he was intuiting the music, he was listening to the meta insights, the information that came, the download that came, and was studying the piece of artwork to wherever stage it was, because it wasn't complete. And he intuited the music. And so my next project that I'm starting is a frequency of healing, which is big.
yeah.
And I'm working with a beautiful, beautiful woman that does toning. So it's just like each one of these is a new exploration, and 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 they're just so powerful.
I know they are. We I can actually, Kathy Roberts is here and Pamela Durand is here. What we got to do one of these at Co-Creators Convergence couple go 3 years ago, was it already?
I don't know, feels like 20 years.
And what was fascinating was it is a fairly congruent group that's usually at Co-Creators Convergence, but it was fascinating to watch it build. It was fun. It was lighthearted as far as we weren't like worried about our quality or well, it was also layers. But do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because that process, you handled that beautifully.
Yeah, that was so much fun, wasn't it? It was. So that was, I think we had 50 smaller canvases connected into one big canvas. So the whole canvas was probably like 7 feet by 5 feet.
Yeah, it was big.
It was big. And what was really interesting about that experience was, you know, I remember telling everybody about it, like, this is the what we're gonna do. And I was a little concerned that nobody was actually gonna like get in there and paint. And I remember putting on like the first swash of color, and I never got another chance to paint because every time I would go into the room, there were like 3 people in there. It was so awesome because you know, you experience this, it brings out this playfulness that we had when we were little. And you know, from a very young age, we're told to stay in the lines, and whatever you do, don't mix that color and that color. And to have that freedom to do anything, not have any constraints, does really unlock things inside of us. And we created it together to have that collective experience. Yeah, Kathy's saying fond memories. It
Fond
was
memories, yeah.
so much fun.
But
And then at the end of that experience, we each got to choose whatever canvas was really standing out to us and take a piece of it home. So yeah, that was really special.
well, the energy was unique. That was what because the whole idea, for people that don't know anything about Co-Creators Convergence, the whole idea was for us, a group of us, which had been meeting for 8 years, I think, altogether, maybe more, but was to get into the field, take the field of love together, and then co-create. And so there was a willingness, number one, if you signed up to go, you wanted to see what would emerge. But then the art, that was wonderful, Leanne. That was wonderful what you did.
It was awesome because before we kind of dismantled it, we got a chance to stand in front of it and
Yeah.
feel the power from it. And that's another unique thing. And that's why it's such a gift to you know, you don't have to have any background, any information on it. You don't need to do A, B, C, and D. You just simply need to be present with it, and it affects you.
Right.
So it's just, again, it's just that opportunity to get out of this box, and once you get one opportunity, then it kind of opens it up and makes it easier to step more freely into it.
So do you find, I know my old office, I had someone paint it and they put words behind before they painted the walls, and they had crystal dust in it. And I mean, it was very magical, the energy in there. And I miss it. But anyway, anyway, I'll have it again.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you find that you ever are inspired when you're doing the custom to put something that you know needs fortification for that person in their field? Do you put that at the first part of the canvas before you layer on top, or is there anything like that that you do?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things. I mean, it's everyone's unique. I am a trained artist. I went to art school. I'm a graphic designer. But with these paintings, none of it is me. making a decision. So it's always me just listening what to do. So for example, this one, you can't really see it, but like up in here, there's crushed abalone seashells.
Okay.
This one has mirrors on the back in certain locations. There's kind of just whatever I hear to do. And what's crazy is coming from being a trained artist, I will hear sometimes this guidance to the one time it was mostly tempera paints on these layers, and it was okay, get out shellac and pour it all over. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm about to ruin this piece of art. Like, I'm going to ruin it. And what came out of it was this effect that I've honestly not been able to reproduce. And so it is this constant position for me to just surrender and, do what I'm told.
Right, right. Actually, I love that. I love that. I was out last night and I tried to explain how I work with energy, and I said the same thing. It's like, well, I know I test and see if I'm supposed to help these people, and I just do as I'm guided. And the thing is I think so many of us lost that capacity to know, to be guided, and this is a way for people to reconnect. So another question about the G clays, the prints of the like love and unity. So you created unity with a group, but if I wanted to hang it on my wall, I will be able to feel that same portal and be able to access that same
Absolutely.
thing? Okay.
Absolutely, yes. It transfers from the originals to reproductions. Uh,
That's
there's also a clothing line, so if you want to just wear Unity and surround yourself with it, there's that as well. I have someone that bought a couple different pieces of love for her son's wedding. She's like, I'm just going to be so surrounded in love, and because it's all vibration, it's all frequency, and we get to choose. And so that's what's amazing about that. With the reproductions, they're just as powerful as the originals. Yeah.
isn't that fantastic? So the opportunity is to have a personal piece, and do those come in different sizes, or how does that work?
Yeah, anything that I do on a commission basis always starts with that meta insight, so that dialogue with your fully realized self. And then a lot of information comes in. I'm directed with every step. So it could be the size, and then that gets confirmed, with the person. Not everybody might have room to put a door, right? So we decide what that size is, but really it's all guided. And then it just flows through from there. And they do take time, because it's not something I put on my calendar and I say, oh, at 2 o'clock today I'm painting. I It drops in, just like the guidance that you get, right? It drops in and I literally see the next layer. And then it's like I can't unsee it until I paint it, right? Then I got to do it, and then I walk away from it. So it's they are multi layered. They're layers and layers and layers, multi type of paints that I use, or shells or crystals or whatever comes through to use. And they take time, but what they are is this powerful piece that is multidimensional. So it's not capturing a person at a certain point in their life. It literally is their higher self. So
Perfect.
it's this divine space that they can continue and evolve with.
Wow. So have you seen your soul expression change as you're being the portal for everyone else?
I
That's it.
That's a big question. I somehow step out of the way so that that can come in.
I,
right? And it's this really organic, simple process of just like, I'm here now, and everything that's flowing in is for that individual or for that frequency. And it's interesting because, like I said, I'm going to be starting healing. I've been preparing for a year to channel the frequency of healing, not even necessarily in my own human understanding of it, but my energy had to be aligned to a certain point so that it could come through. So by far, it's the biggest one, that frequency that I've brought through. And I'm not even going to be able to explain that until probably well after the paintings are done. I just know that I kept hearing, not yet, not yet.
so I have another question. When I first met you, you had lost a bunch of close relatives in your family. Do you feel like they're helping you with all of this? Do you feel like you got a cheerleading team?
Yeah, well, one of the things I do, Kathy, is also help people transition from this life, right, as they're dying through the active dying process. And I feel like everybody I've ever interacted with there, my own loved ones, other people that I've helped transition, I feel like, they're all there that I can actually call on for support. But more than anything, everything that I do is connected with Christ consciousness. So that's my main vein. That's my lane. That's my lane, is Christ consciousness. And within that is just so many different expressions of love that come through different people.
I just wondered if that was because I know even when I was a little girl, I had a team, and so I just wondered if you felt even more fortified because your work has changed since I've known you. It just gets better and better and better. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in other ways in my life. I'm screening in my porch, which is construction, and I don't do that. And or I designed the house that I'm living in now. I designed myself, and my dad was a contractor, so I definitely called on him and be like, "Okay, I literally go out there building this porch going, all right, steer me in the right way, dad,
Oh, that's so cool! Yeah.
I feel that guidance for sure. And but when it comes to these paintings or these tools that are developing to help people with their human potential, that's straight from the source.
Yeah. And you are really you have been aligned to that for that's your mission. I mean, you really are aligned to that and that's so beautiful. And it's so magical. I mean, it really is something that is you're a great resource for my audience that is doing their best to be servant leaders. They're doing their best to love their customers and their employees. And they need reinforcement in lots of different ways for themselves to stay in the flow because they're giving, 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 giving. And having a painting from you or working with you would help them receive more of their own um, resources, right?
Absolutely. I mean, all the people that I work with are fulfilling, but the ones that I feel the most humbled by are those individuals that I can support that are reaching the masses. Because those I've had clients say to me, I I give support. I don't usually receive support. And there's so much power in that because I know that that's my role, right? To just fortify them. So yeah, anybody that's really needing to hold a lot, wanting to bring something new into the world, whether it's through 500 employees or their own creation, everybody can benefit into getting into that sweet spot.
Oh yeah, it's part of the wave. I mean, again, when you go from the analogy of the Dark Ages to the Renaissance, this is the Renaissance. And what you're doing is modeling the connection that we all could have if we allowed ourselves to reconnect to our soul and co-create on the cutting edge rather than within the box. Because the box is gone, you guys. The box is gone.
And it was a loser to begin with.
Well, it must have served because I believe everything's here, whether it's painful or not, that it serves for us for our growth, our spiritual growth. But if you're ready to experience more of who you really are, this is a great opportunity, right, Leanne?
Yeah, because it's easy and it's fun.
Yeah.
And who doesn't need a little bit more easy and fun?
So, Leanne, as far as what you're seeing with your clients, because this is a time that lots of people that are highly sensitive are coming out and playing together now. Excuse me. Are you seeing these more and more creatives coming to you and
Yeah,
sharing? Do you want
absolutely.
to speak to that?
And yeah, more and more people that are really stepping into, you know what, I'm not doing it the old way anymore from this moment on. I'm doing it my way. And more and more younger people are coming to my work, knowing that I'm getting off this wheel, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting off this wheel and I'm creating my own way to do it. And there's this really underlining confidence and knowledge that there is something better. It's not like maybe the older generations that were kind of used to, well, I'm just going to do this for 40 years and then I'm going to retire and then I'm going to be too old to enjoy life. Kind of, it's this different mentality, and there's this confidence and know-how, and they just need a couple tools and then they're taken off. So it's really fascinating that I'm seeing younger and younger people that are being drawn to the work, and even to the point that my own grandchildren, the way they interact with these paintings. My grandson was visiting months ago, and my art studio became his nursery, and every time when he would go down for a nap or to bed, he was going to each painting and like babbling, because he was, not using words yet, babbling to it and like having a different conversation with each painting. It was very clearly a different conversation. Or when they left, he needed to say goodbye to each of them. So, that's just fascinating to me. And to me, this is all an exploration, right? I'm just excited for what's next and what we're capable of tomorrow.
Well, I love the idea that a baby who's still more connected to themselves, a child under 5, would be able to feel the energy in all of it. So that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yes.
So is there so you're experimenting with the painting, but I think you're going to be painting for a while, right? And do you feel like it's going to, well, okay. I feel like the portals that you're bringing in are huge tools. That it isn't just to remember who you are; it's to have access. It's not just a remembrance. It's actually um, bringing more light into this dimension.
Yes, I agree. I agree. When you sit with peace and feel that peace, you can feel it in your body. You can feel it realigning your energy. And we require that right now. And we're always going to require that interaction with peace. And the more you sit with it, the more you have it in your environment, the more it can subtly affect you. So it is almost like energetic maintenance as well, just to keep us fortified and keep us strong so that we can do what we were born here to do.
That's so great. Well, well, first remember, and then access the frequencies that we may not be. There's so many more senses than five senses,
Yeah.
and so by us being more open to accessing the higher senses, more of our chakras, all of that allows us to express it a totally different way.
And we're more and more, we all know this, right? We're stopping to do everything in our lives from our intellect and doing it more from our heart space. And so that this also supports that to happen. We don't have to know everything, but when we can feel it coming through us,
Right.
when we can feel that it's right, when we can feel that it's good and that it's in alignment, then we're just going to live in a greater and greater sense of peace as a collective.
Well, the other thing that I want to share about you is that I feel that you embody and you represent as a guide how to live in flow. Because even when you were living here for a little while, I watched you working with people, and it wasn't a push. It wasn't, you never seemed to be type A, let's get her done. I mean, you wanted to get it done. You had the inspiration to get it done, but it was all about flow and about allowing people to be in their process rather than seeing what they could be and then I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but you didn't push anything on anybody. You were opening them up to flow into their highest knowing. And that isn't that common. I know you and I do that, but it isn't that common. Usually when people hire someone to help them, it's like give me a schedule and let's get, especially branding and all of that. It's like they wanted it yesterday. And what you're doing is you're pulling it out, but letting them be that before you bring in the next aspect. You're not, do you know it? Am I explaining this very well?
You are, and I feel like maybe I have a split personality because when I do this work, it is very much that surrendering into it, finding the flow, allowing not the head to lead, but the heart. But then there is the side of me because I'm in marketing, and there's deadlines, right?
Yeah.
And there's budgets, and there's things that do have to happen yesterday, and so I kind of play in both of those worlds, but in this world over here is more fun, right? It's just that took a while to really learn to surrender, because there is a part of me that is that type A, but that's the real magic doesn't happen when we push, right? It happens when we surrender and we allow even greater things that we could have ever imagined to step in.
Well, what I'm just intuiting that you are like me, where you hold the mirror up to somebody and shine it and shine it and shine it and help them see before you do your type A.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. That's what I saw of you, which I love, and I want to acknowledge.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is. It's definitely a dance for sure, and definitely a balance and a mixture.
Yeah. So something did something weird with the audio for a second. So I want to make sure that everyone knows how to find you. We've been showing your website as a banner a little bit, but is that the best way to find you, Leanne? To
Yeah,
find out more? Okay. And
yeah.
is your art? You do have your art in a gallery in Ohio, right?
It's actually in Pittsburgh,
Oh, in
Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, many of the originals are there, which is fantastic. It's an amazing healing center. And so you can go and meditate with them. You can go and actually take one into a private room and spend time with it. And that's kind of packaged together when people do come and paint with me. And I got to get better at social media, but I am on Instagram at my name, Leanne Hertzel. So yeah, just use my name and you can find me. And the website has everything from the marketing to the work that I do going into companies, and I call it Creativity Camp, and then all the paintings as well.
It's so great. Honestly, I wish we would have had that, because when I was at Arthur Andersen, we did change enablement. And back then you called them focus groups. And you would bring all these people in from 22 different locations, because a big conglomerate had merged everybody, and then try to get everybody to feel safe with each other. And if we would have had your process, that would have been so much better. Oh my gosh, there would have been so much more calm and ease and creative interaction rather than territorial protection.
Yeah, and because when you go into those higher states of consciousness, fear doesn't exist and the
Right.
ego doesn't exist. So you can kind of see without those components to life. Um and the great thing is now business does have options like this.
Yes.
Have
Yeah.
tools like this.
Well, I think that the my audience, the conscious businesses, are looking for tools to create teamwork, because they know that there is no higher. I mean, there may be a little bit of hierarchy to pay the bills, but in most cases, everything's done in team. And so you want team to be in flow and to see each other's beauty, and everyone's a piece of the puzzle, rather than, you know, a slave to the whole thing. It's just a different model, of different perspective of how to co-create together.
Yeah, and actually create that future.
Right, right, right.
'Cause-
That's what we're gonna get there.
yeah,
So Sugar Bee, thank you, said beautiful paintings.
thank you.
Want you, Pamela said we have everything we need inside of us. Yes, thank you, Bright Lights. Thank you
Yes.
both so much. Thank you. So in Texas here, but he didn't say anything, or else I'd put it up. And Kathy said, what fun co-creators we got to listen to this morning. The annual appreciate. We were tapping into the imaginal tool set. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone's got a different way of doing this, and I'm so honored to have you on here and introduce you, because I think that what you're offering is a valuable tool for self-discovery and for working in teams. So, and this is a time, you guys, turn on your light, turn on your power.
That's right. Kathy, I just appreciate you so much inviting me to have this conversation.
Yes. Well, let's play. You
Okay,
and I. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, you can see the nonverbal part. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, one more time. Want to make sure you go to leanneheltzel.com, and we will have that also in the comments for you. And please do yourself a favor and at least allow yourself the gift of knowing yourself completely. That's the journey, and that's the delight.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Kathy, for
Thank
everything you
you.
do.
Thank you. Bye bye, Leanne.
Bye.